And then
Yep.
I like what Felipe said about that. I think it was just one audience that the client said, "Oh yeah, we want to only target this type of audience," but then in your reporting, you discovered that you were missing the mark in other perspective. And so that's the analysis and optimization I feel like we don't do a good job at doing as traders. And it's important to partner up with the right people like you guys so that you can bring that in. Like it's not just, again, set it and forget it. It's like, oh, Felipe is
I
saying
think it's together. I think it's together.
it's
And I'm
work
not saying
together.
curation is everything and you should only do curation. I'm saying that there's parts of pieces to do these different things.
Yeah.
As a buyer for an agency or a group or for a client, when you can bring insights back, especially to your marketing team that says, hey guys, look at this information.
Yes.
We targeted here, but it turns out that the conversions are coming here.
Mhm.
Those types of that type of value for the buyer and for you, the group, is invaluable for the company,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And that's the part where sometimes we just think about as buyers, well, I just got to get these numbers, I got to hit these metrics, I got to do this, and we're missing sometimes what the bigger picture is, which is this was the target or this is the target, and we're getting to that target, but we're finding all these other insights that
Mhm.
come, and they come from sometimes layering your deals so you're not just throwing it all in a pot and trying to cook it the best way possible by running the individual deals and finding out that one's a souffle and one's a chocolate pudding and one's a whatever it is, so that you can start to see the differences in your conversions and data.
It's a good point too about it because a big challenge that we go through as traders and buyers is that we have a lot of data. Data is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know how to look at this data and turn it into applicable insight. I call it the actionable insight. Like you just said, if this type of audience is indexing higher, or you're seeing more conversions, or the spend is going in audience A, but all of the results are coming from audience B. What if we shift this audience? What is that supposed to mean? And I like to say, like, you have to layer additional dimension. And so if you start with a curation deal that is layering a few type of audiences, then you have to layer additional dimension. And CTR is not the only one. You have to look at the recency. You have to look at even layer technology, because sometimes audience A is not performing because the technology inventory, they're probably converting on mobile and not on desktop versus audience B. And so that's the type of odd insight that helps you. And having a curated deal, especially if it's set up the right way, takes out at least 30% of that initial like manual, gotta look for this, where's this audience, what type of profile am I looking at? Because you've already have it set up.
Yeah, Ellen, imagine something like this.
Hmm.
As a buyer, one of the hardest things is setting up all your deals. You got to go in and find all your different stuff, whatever. And if you can have the key things that you're setting up there, but you outsource all that curation of deals there, you
Mhm.
can put more deals live. You
Mhm.
can run them for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. You can run them at whatever level you want. And
Mhm.
then you can say, this one doesn't work. That one doesn't work. This one works great. Turn it up. This
Yeah.
one works great. Turn it up. This one doesn't work. Give it. Or, hey guys, can you curate? I'm seeing this. Can you curate another one? So your curation companies have done right. That's why I always say it's not curation is not apples to apples. You can start to, as a buyer, outsource some of the things that will make it easier for you to get to the things that you want. People have a tendency to say, well, if I curate, I don't need a buyer. If I'm a buyer, I don't want the curation because they don't do it right. But if you do it together, you create this way. And this is what we've been able to do with some of the biggest companies, I can't tell you names, in the world. Is over 4 years we run in the automotive business in connected TV with these guys, because we've been able to figure out which deals in that CTV over time
Mhm.
perform best for them, and they've turned those things up and turned them up and turned them up, and then we keep coming back and layering in new ones to try. So it's a process that you can work with your curation partners to make your buying better and easier.
Mhm.
Doesn't take away what you have to do. You got to do
Nope.
the work, but it
Yeah,
takes away some of the pain.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's
and
efficient.
I, I would add something in speaking specific about GDB.
Mhm.
To handle these tons of data that we have a few account managers that run hundreds of deals. We
Mhm.
have an internal tool which help us analyzing everything. So the tool analyze the results, the tool analyze MFAs and boots and badge inventory source, and then we can exclude that. And also this internal tool, which we call as Brain, bring the reports and the results with the recommendation. So if this is specifically do this, and the other one do that, accordingly with multiple KPIs. So I could prioritize conversions if I have my tag implemented, or it could be VTR or availability or CTR or whatever. So this is the secret sauce in our case that can, help us to scale the curation business. That's the point for GDB. Yeah.
I think it's a good way to like close the conversation, because very often I remember as a trader saying like, oh, some of the partners optimization note or recommendation are not relevant, they don't work for my campaign. But at the end of the day, I did not do the due diligence to send them enough information so that they can send me things that can help me. And so I had to do everything manually. And so if you're in this position where you work with a handful of great partners and you realize like they're not as helpful, well, give them some type of information, let them know, give them feedback. Like, this cannot be applicable for this client because I don't know, they are only looking for this, or my strategy is including these things. What else can you tell me from the deal that you sent me or whatnot?
Our best partners are hard partners who have to ask the hard questions, partners who say, how do I do this? And then you say, we need that. How do I do this? Well, we need that. And sometimes they don't want to because they don't want to be mean. They don't want to be this, they don't want to be that. And we're like, guys, come, tell us what you need so that we can get it right for you. And that's a really important point that you just made, Ellen.
But like, and as a partner, I know for a fact, if you have this information, like, you can do some of my job even better because now you understand, I trusted you with this information.